I stood outside the Grand Meridian Hotel, watching my sister Helena block the entrance with her designer purse. "You can't afford to eat here, Ivy," she laughed, her voice cutting through the evening air. My mother appeared beside her, gripping my arm. "Please don't embarrass us tonight. Your father's birthday dinner is for family who've actually succeeded." Behind them, the hotel's glass doors gleamed. My hotel, my building, everything they saw belonged to me. Then Marcus, my security chief, stepped forward, his hand moving to his earpiece. The October evening had turned cold, but the heat rising in my chest had nothing to do with the temperature. I watched Marcus approach with that calm, professional demeanor I'd come to respect over the past 2 years. He was a former Marine, built like he could still take down anyone who threatened his charges, with silver threading through his dark hair. "Miss Hartwell," he said clearly, his voice carrying across the entrance. "Welcome to your hotel. Shall I have the valet take your car?" The sudden silence was almost funny. Almost. Helena's perfectly made-up face froze mid-laugh, her mouth forming a small circle of shock. My mother, Patricia, still had her manicured fingers wrapped around my forearm, but her grip loosened as confusion flickered across her features. "Excuse me?" Helena's voice came out strangled. "Miss Ivy Hartwell," Marcus continued, gesturing toward me with respectful formality. "Owner and CEO of the Grand Meridian Hotel and the Hartwell Property Group." A black Mercedes had just pulled up behind us, and I recognized the passengers as they emerged. The Hendersons, associates of my father's company, dressed in evening wear for what I assumed was the same birthday dinner. They paused, clearly hearing every word. "Marcus," I said quietly, trying to maintain some dignity. "Thank you." But Helena recovered faster than I expected. She always did. That was her gift, turning potential disasters into opportunities. Her laugh rang out again, louder this time, more performative. "Oh my God," she gasped, clutching her stomach like she'd just heard the funniest joke of her life. "Ivy, did you actually hire an actor? Are you that desperate?" My mother's expression shifted from confusion to something harder. Embarrassment, maybe. Or anger at being put in an awkward position. She released my arm and stepped back, creating physical distance between us. "Helena, what's going on?" Mrs. Henderson called out, approaching with her husband trailing behind. "My sister is having some kind of breakdown," Helena announced, her voice dripping with false concern. She looked absolutely radiant in her emerald cocktail dress, diamonds catching the light from the hotel's entrance. "She's apparently hired this man to pretend she owns the Grand Meridian. It's sad, really." "I haven't hired anyone," I said, keeping my voice level. "Marcus works for me because I own this hotel." "Ivy, please." My mother's voice was quiet but sharp. "You're making a scene. Your father's birthday is supposed to be a celebration." More cars were pulling up now. My Uncle Thomas and Aunt Marie. Some cousins I hadn't seen in 5 years. They all witnessed Helena's performance, saw my mother's obvious discomfort, watched Marcus standing awkwardly between us. "I can show you my identification," Marcus offered, reaching for his wallet. "My business card clearly states." "Business cards can say anything," Helena interrupted smoothly. She turned to address the growing crowd. "I actually know the real owner of this hotel, Richard Blackwell. He's a business associate of Dad's, actually. We've met several times." My stomach dropped. Richard Blackwell. I'd never heard that name before, which meant Helena was either making it up or she'd found someone to play along with her game. "In fact," Helena continued, warming to her theme, "I mentioned to Richard that we'd be here tonight for Dad's birthday. I'm sure he'll be joining us for dinner." Patricia nodded slowly, as if this made perfect sense. "Yes, I remember you mentioning Richard, dear." "You've never mentioned anyone named Richard," I said, but my voice sounded weak even to my own ears. "Maybe if you'd been around for the past 5 years, you'd know what's happening in this family." Helena's words were soft, almost gentle, which made them cut deeper. "But you left, remember? You walked away from all of us." "That wasn't how it happened. That wasn't remotely how it happened. But standing there with a dozen family members and strangers watching, I couldn't exactly explain that Helena had framed me for theft, that she'd planted evidence making it look like I'd stolen $20,000 from my father's company. that my mother had believed every word Helena said without question. "The young lady is correct," Marcus said firmly. "Miss Hartwell owns this property. I've worked for her for 2 years." "Then you're part of her delusion," Patricia said. She turned to me, and something in her eyes made my chest ache. Not love, not even recognition really, just cold assessment. "I don't know what game you're playing, Ivy, but stop it. Now." She took Helena's arm, and together they walked toward the hotel entrance. The valet rushed to open the door. My father's business associates followed, throwing curious glances back at me. My Uncle Thomas paused. "You all right, kid?" he asked quietly. I wanted to scream that no, I wasn't all right, that I'd spent 5 years building a real estate empire from absolutely nothing, that I'd worked 3 jobs while finishing my MBA at night, that I'd scraped together enough for a down payment on my first rental property, and grew that into a portfolio worth $40 million, that this hotel was my crown jewel, and I'd bought it with money I'd earned through my own blood and sweat. Instead, I just nodded. "I'm fine, Uncle Thomas." He squeezed my shoulder and went inside. Marcus stood beside me, looking like he wanted to physically remove someone from the premises. "Ma'am, I can have security escort them out. You own this building. You have every right." "No," I said. "It's my father's birthday. Let them have their dinner." "But they just publicly humiliated you." "I know." I smoothed down my simple black dress. Not designer, not cheap either, but nothing compared to Helena's outfit. "Let's just go inside. Separately. I'll attend the dinner as a guest." "They don't deserve your grace," Marcus muttered, but he stepped aside to let me pass. As I walked through those doors, into the lobby I'd personally designed, past the marble floors I'd selected, and the chandelier I'd commissioned from an artist in Vermont, I told myself that the truth would come out eventually. It had to. I had no idea how much worse things were about to get. The restaurant on the hotel's 20th floor was called Celestial. I'd named it myself, inspired by the floor-to-ceiling windows that made diners feel like they were floating among the stars. The city sprawled below us, lights twinkling in the October darkness. I'd worked with the chef personally to create the menu, spent months negotiating with a sommelier to curate the wine list, chosen every piece of silverware and every linen napkin. And now I sat at my father's birthday table as the family embarrassment. They'd seated me at the far end, naturally. My father, Charles, was at the head of the table, looking thinner than I remembered. His face lit up when he saw me arrive, and he actually stood, which made my mother immediately place a hand on his arm. "Ivy!" He started toward me, but Patricia's grip tightened. "Charles, your blood pressure," she said. "Don't get overexcited." The worry in her voice was real at least. That was something. Dad did look frailer. His suit hung loose on his frame, and there were shadows under his eyes I didn't remember from 5 years ago. "I'm allowed to be excited to see my daughter," Dad said, but he sat back down. "Ivy, sweetheart, come sit by me." "There's no room, Dad," Helena said quickly. "She can sit down there." She pointed to the spot they'd indicated, between Cousin Mike, who I barely knew, and Aunt Marie, who'd always looked at me like I was tracking mud on her carpet. Dad frowned, but didn't argue. He'd never been good at arguing with Patricia or Helena. That was part of the problem, actually. Part of why everything had fallen apart 5 years ago. I took my seat and tried to smile. Tried to pretend my heart wasn't hammering against my ribs. The table seated 16 people. Besides my parents, Helena, and Helena's husband, Greg, there were my father's business partners, the Hendersons and the Martins, my Uncle Thomas and Aunt Marie, 3 cousins, and Helena's friend who she'd invited, a blonde woman named Stephanie, who kept whispering to Helena and giggling. "So, Ivy," Mrs. Henderson said brightly, clearly trying to ease the tension, "what have you been doing with yourself? Helena mentioned you've been working in real estate." "Yes," I said. "I manage properties." "She's a landlord," Helena clarified with a little smile. "Apartment buildings, that sort of thing." "Actually, I own and operate a portfolio of commercial and residential properties," I corrected, "including hotels." Helena's laugh was like breaking glass. "Right, including this hotel, apparently." "Helena," Greg said quietly. It was the first time he'd spoken, and I looked at him with surprise. Greg was a corporate lawyer, someone Helena had married 3 years ago. I'd learned about the wedding through a Facebook post. I hadn't been invited. "What?" Helena turned to her husband with wide, innocent eyes. I'm just repeating what she claimed earlier. Maybe we should talk about something else, Greg suggested. He looked uncomfortable, his jaw tight. I agree, my father said. Ivy, tell me about your work. I want to hear everything. So I did. I kept it vague, kept it simple, but I told him about my first property purchase. A small apartment building in a neighborhood that was just starting to gentrify. How I'd renovated it myself, learning to do basic plumbing and electrical work from YouTube videos and library books. How I'd saved every penny from my 3 jobs to make the mortgage payments until the building was profitable. Dad listened with shining eyes. Patricia studied her wineglass. Helena checked her phone. That's wonderful, honey, Dad said when I finished. I always knew you had a head for business, just like me. She got that from you, Uncle Thomas agreed. Remember when she was 10 and started that dog walking service in the neighborhood? Had a whole schedule system worked out? She charged $20 an hour. Dad laughed. I told her that was too much. She told me supply and demand meant she could charge whatever people would pay. She was right. It felt good to hear him remember. To have someone at this table acknowledge that I'd been competent once, valued, before everything went wrong. Charles, Patricia said, we should probably order. You need to eat regularly. Right. Dad's health. Helena had mentioned something in a Christmas card last year, the only communication I'd received. Heart problems, high blood pressure, stress. Our server appeared. Young, maybe 23, with nervous energy. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Celestial. Can I start you off with drinks? Helena immediately ordered the most expensive champagne on the menu. And bring 3 bottles. It's a celebration. The server glanced at me. I gave the tiniest shake of my head. He nodded, understanding. I'll check with the sommelier about availability, he said smoothly. That particular vintage is quite rare. I'm sure you can find it, Helena said. Her smile had an edge to it. This is a luxury hotel, isn't it? Of course, ma'am. As he left, Helena leaned across the table toward me. You know what's funny, Ivy? You claim to own this hotel, but you're wearing a dress that probably cost $200. I spent more than that on my shoes tonight. Helena, Greg said again, firmer this time. I'm just making an observation. She sat back, satisfied. The server returned with wine, though notably not the $3,000 bottles Helena had requested. She didn't seem to notice. As he poured, Helena launched into a story about a vacation she and Greg had taken to the Maldives. The Hendersons shared details about their granddaughter's college acceptance. Aunt Marie complained about property taxes. I was silent, picking at the breadbasket, until my father asked about my plans for the future. I'm expanding, I said. Looking at properties in the Northeast. Maybe Boston or Providence. That's ambitious, Mr. Martin said. Real estate market's tight up there. I know, but I think there's opportunity. She thinks, Helena murmured to Stephanie. Just loud enough for me to hear. Based on what expertise? Based on market analysis and consultation with investment advisors, I said evenly. The same way anyone makes business decisions. Of course, Helena raised her wineglass. To Ivy's ambitions, may they be grounded in reality. Several people laughed. Not mean laughs necessarily. Just uncomfortable chuckles from people who didn't know what else to do. Dad didn't laugh. Neither did Greg. Dinner arrived in courses. The appetizers were perfect, herb-crusted scallops that melted on the tongue. The soup was a butternut squash bisque I'd worked with the chef to develop. The main courses were art on plates, duck breast and filet mignon, and herb-crusted salmon. Helena ordered the most expensive entree. When it arrived, she looked at the server with theatrical dismay. Is this really what $55 gets you here? It's tiny. It's the appropriate portion size for the dish, ma'am, the server said. Well, put it on Ivy's tab, Helena said with a laugh. She's the big real estate mogul. She can afford it. I felt my face flush. The server looked at me questioningly. I gave another tiny shake of my head. All meals tonight are on Mr. Charles Sutton's account, the server said smoothly. As arranged. Of course they are, I said. It's Dad's birthday. But the damage was done. Several people were looking at me now with confusion or pity or both. Patricia was examining her plate like it contained secrets to the universe. Halfway through the main course, Helena suddenly straightened in her chair. Oh, I almost forgot. I have a surprise for Dad. Another surprise? Dad said. You've already done too much, honey. Just one more thing. Helena pulled out her phone, typed quickly, then smiled. I invited someone to join us for dessert. Someone I think you'll all find very interesting. I watched her eyes flick to me for just a second. My stomach tightened. 10 minutes later, a man in an expensive charcoal suit appeared at our table. He was maybe 50, with silver hair and a confident smile. He walked right to my father and extended his hand. Charles Sutton, he said warmly. Happy birthday. I'm Richard Blackwell. My blood turned to ice. Richard! Helena jumped up and kissed his cheek. Thank you so much for coming. Everyone, this is Richard Blackwell, the owner of the Grand Meridian Hotel. He smiled around the table, shaking hands, accepting congratulations on his beautiful establishment. My father looked delighted. The business partners seemed impressed. Patricia actually smiled, and I sat, frozen in my chair, watching a complete stranger claim ownership of everything I'd built. Mr. Blackwell, Mrs. Henderson gushed, this restaurant is absolutely stunning. Thank you, he said. I'm very proud of Celestial. The chef is one of the best in the city. I knew then that I should speak up, should call him out as a fraud right here, right now. But my voice wouldn't work, because Helena was watching me with such triumphant satisfaction, and everyone else was looking at this man with respect, and if I accused him of lying, I'd look insane. Richard Blackwell sat down in a chair the server quickly provided, right next to Helena. He accepted a glass of wine and launched into a story about acquiring the hotel 2 years ago. 2 years ago, exactly when I'd actually bought it. I met Greg's eyes across the table. He was frowning, studying Blackwell with an expression I couldn't quite read. Suspicion, maybe? Or just concentration? Ivy seems to think she owns your hotel, Helena said lightly. Isn't that amusing? Blackwell's laugh was practiced. I get that sometimes, actually. People who stay here fall in love with the place. They fantasize about owning it. That must be it, Patricia said. Ivy always did have an active imagination. The conversation moved on. Dessert arrived. A chocolate torte with gold leaf that I'd approved just last month. Coffee was served. My father looked tired but happy, surrounded by family, believing he was in the presence of a successful businessman who owned a luxury hotel. I excused myself quietly and went to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, pressed my forehead against the cool metal door, and tried to breathe. This was insane. This was absolutely insane. Who was this man? How had Helena found him? How much was she paying him to pretend? When I came out, I splashed cold water on my face and stared at myself in the mirror. Same brown hair I'd always had, same hazel eyes, same face. But the woman looking back at me seemed smaller somehow. Diminished. No, I wasn't going to let this happen. I dried my hands and walked back into the restaurant, pulled out my phone and texted Marcus. Need to meet. Now. Executive office. Then I returned to the table, smiled pleasantly, and waited for this nightmare dinner to end. The dinner finally broke up around 10:30. My father hugged me goodbye, held me tight, whispered that he was proud of me no matter what. Patricia pulled him away gently, reminding him about his medication schedule. Helena air-kissed me like we were casual acquaintances, her perfume cloying and sweet. Richard Blackwell shook my hand. Lovely to meet you, Ivy. Come back anytime. I smiled and said nothing. As the family dispersed toward the elevators, I took the staff hallway to my private office on the 22nd floor. Marcus was already waiting outside the door, along with 2 other security personnel I recognized. Ma'am, Marcus said as I approached, I've been reviewing tonight's security footage. There's something you need to see. Inside my office, surrounded by windows overlooking the city, I finally felt like I could breathe. This space was mine. No one disputed it. The desk I'd chosen. The art I'd selected. The view I'd earned. Who is Richard Blackwell? I asked, collapsing into my chair. No one, as far as I can tell. Marcus pulled up his tablet and showed me a screen. That's not his real name. I ran facial recognition. He's actually Richard Bancroft, known associate of various con artists and fraud schemes. Small-time stuff, mostly. Identity theft, forged documents. Helena hired him. Almost certainly. And there's more. Marcus swiped to another screen. Someone's been accessing your business files. Remotely. For about 3 months. My stomach dropped. What files? Financial records, property deeds, bank accounts. Everything stored on your company's cloud server. That's impossible. It's all encrypted. Someone had your passwords. I stared at the screen, watching the access log scroll past. Hundreds of entries. Someone had been systematically downloading every piece of information about my business, my properties, my money, my life. Who? I whispered. The IP address traces back to a coffee shop in Connecticut, public Wi-Fi. Untraceable after that. But I'd bet my retirement that your sister's behind this. I wanted to argue. Wanted to say that even Helena wouldn't go this far. But I couldn't. Because 5 years ago, she'd done exactly this. She'd stolen from our father's company, planted evidence that I was responsible, and watched me get thrown out of the family without saying a word. Why? The question came out broken. Why would she do this? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. We both knew why. Helena had always been competitive, had always needed to win. But more than that, she'd needed me to lose. I need to talk to her, I said. Now. Ma'am, I don't think that's wise. I don't care. Where is she? Marcus checked his tablet. According to the hotel system, she and her husband have a suite on the 18th floor. Room 1812. I was already standing, heading for the door. At least take Carlos with you, Marcus said, gesturing to one of the other security officers. No, this is family business. That's exactly why you should take Carlos. But I was already in the hallway, already pushing the elevator button. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. 5 years of silence, 5 years of building a life without them, and here we were again. Same patterns, same pain. The elevator seemed to take forever. When the doors opened on 18, the hallway was quiet, carpeted in the plush burgundy I'd selected myself. I walked to room 1812 and knocked. Greg opened the door. He looked surprised to see me, and something else. Guilty, maybe? Ivy, he said. This isn't a good time. I need to talk to Helena. She's in the shower. Then I'll wait. He hesitated, then stepped aside. The suite was one of the nicer ones, with a separate living area and a view of the river. Helena had left her heels by the door, her designer purse on the couch. Would you like to sit? Greg asked. No. We stood there awkwardly. Greg cleared his throat. Look, I'm sorry about dinner. Helena gets carried away sometimes. Carried away? I laughed, and it sounded hysterical even to me. She brought a fake hotel owner to my father's birthday dinner. I know it looks bad. It is bad, Greg. It's fraud. I don't think it's technically fraud if no money changed hands. She's been hacking into my business files for 3 months. His face went carefully blank. I don't know what you're talking about. You're a lawyer. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Before he could answer, Helena emerged from the bathroom in a silk robe, her hair wrapped in a towel. She stopped when she saw me, then smiled. Ivy, what a pleasant surprise. We need to talk. Of course. She moved to the minibar and poured herself sparkling water. Greg, honey, could you give us a minute? Greg looked between us, clearly torn. Then he grabbed his room key and left. The door clicked shut. Helena sat on the couch and patted the cushion beside her. Sit. I stayed standing. Suit yourself. She sipped her water. So, you figured it out. Figured what out? That I know. About your little real estate empire. About this hotel. About all of it. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. How long? I hired a private investigator 4 months ago. Did you really think you could build something this big and I wouldn't notice? You're using your married name Hartwell, but you're still my sister. Still Dad's daughter. Still connected to our family. It wasn't that hard to find you. Why? The word came out as a whisper. What did I ever do to you? Helena's smile faded. You really don't know? No, I really don't. 5 years ago you framed me for theft. You let Mom throw me out with nothing. And now you're doing it again. Why? She stood up, suddenly angry. Because you're perfect Ivy. Smart Ivy. Dad's favorite. The one who could do no wrong. That's not true. It's completely true. Do you know what it's like? Being the older sister who's always second best? Watching Dad's face light up when you walked in the room? Hearing him brag about your grades, your ideas, your potential, he was proud of you too. He was polite about me. There's a difference. She paced to the window, looking out at the city. So yes, 5 years ago I took that money. And yes, I planted evidence that you took it. And when Mom believed me, when Dad had to choose between trusting me or trusting you, and he chose me, that felt good, Ivy. That felt like finally winning. I couldn't breathe. Dad didn't choose you. He just couldn't prove I didn't do it. Same thing. She turned back to me. But then you went and built this empire. Without any help from the family. Without Dad's money or connections. You proved you didn't need us at all. And that made me so angry, I could barely see straight. So, you decided to destroy it. I decided to take it. Her voice was calm now, cold. Do you know what I've been doing for the past 2 years, Ivy? I've been embezzling from Dad's company. Slowly, carefully. About $40,000 a month, funneled through shell corporations and offshore accounts. The room tilted. What? Dad's company is worth about $3 million. Was worth that, anyway. Now it's worth maybe $800,000, maybe less. The business partners are getting nervous. They're asking questions. And very soon, someone's going to discover what I've done. Helena. But here's the beautiful part. She moved closer, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Something broken. I've been creating a paper trail. Emails from your account to mine. Bank transfers from accounts in your name. Documents with your digital signature. For 2 years, I've been building a case that you're the one who's been stealing from Dad. That's insane. I haven't touched Dad's company in 5 years. But you wanted revenge, didn't you? For being thrown out? So you worked your way into the company's financial systems and started siphoning money. You used that money to build your real estate portfolio. You used Dad's own money to buy this hotel. No one will believe that. Everyone will believe it. She pulled out her phone and showed me a screen. Email after email, supposedly from my old company address. Bank statements from accounts I'd never opened. Contracts with my forged signature. I've thought of everything. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the couch. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm giving you a choice. Helena sat beside me, and her voice became almost gentle. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to turn all this evidence over to the police. I'm going to tell them I've discovered your embezzlement scheme. I'm going to play the shocked, betrayed sister. And you're going to go to prison. Unless you sign over this hotel to me tonight. And your other properties. Everything you own. You transfer it all to a holding company I've set up. You disappear again. Leave the state. Change your name if you want. Live your life somewhere else. And I'll destroy all the evidence. You'll be free. I stared at her. At this woman I'd grown up with. This stranger. You're extorting me. I'm offering you a choice. Prison or freedom. Your pride or your life. What about Dad? His company? I'll save it. Once I have your assets, I'll inject some capital. Cover the losses. Make it look good. Dad will never know what happened. He'll know you stole from him. He'll think you stole from him. And I stopped you. Helena stood up. You have until tomorrow morning, midnight. I've already had papers drawn up. Sign them, and this nightmare ends. She walked to the door and opened it. Now get out of my suite. I stumbled into the hallway. The door closed behind me. I stood there for a long moment, unable to move, unable to think. Then I heard it. A voice, quiet and close. Did you get all that? I turned. Greg was standing in an alcove 10 feet away, his phone in his hand. I recorded everything, he said. Every word. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't sleep. I sat in my office reviewing the documents Marcus had compiled. The evidence of Helena's hacking. The background check on Richard Bancroft. The financial analysis showing the disappearing money from Dad's company. And I thought about what Greg had said when he'd played back that recording. I've suspected something was wrong for months. The way Helena talks in her sleep. The secret phone calls. The offshore account statements I found. He'd looked miserable. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was paranoid. What are you going to do with the recording? I'd ask. I don't know yet. I need to think. He'd paused. She's my wife, Ivy. Even after everything, she's committing fraud. I know. I need time to process this. So now I waited. Dawn came slowly, painting the city in shades of pink and gold. My phone buzzed just after 6 in the morning. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Miss Hartwell? A woman's voice. Professional and urgent. This is Nurse Campbell from St. Catherine's Hospital. I'm calling about your father, Charles Sutton. The world stopped. What happened? He was brought to the emergency room about an hour ago. Suspected heart attack. He's stable now, but it was serious. Your mother said to call you. My mother said to call me. That was surprising. I'll be right there. I drove to the hospital in a daze, barely remembering the route. St. Catherine's was across town, a 20-minute drive that felt like 20 seconds. I parked illegally and ran inside. The ICU waiting room was full of my family. Patricia, Helena, Uncle Thomas, Aunt Marie, several cousins. Everyone looked exhausted and scared. Patricia saw me first. For a moment, something soft crossed her face. Relief? Maybe. Then it hardened again. About time, she said. How is he? Serious, but stable. They're running tests. She stood up, and I noticed how much older she looked in the harsh fluorescent light. No makeup, hair uncombed. He woke up around 4 in the morning with chest pains. Couldn't breathe. I called 911. Can I see him? Not yet. One visitor at a time, and only for 5 minutes. Helena approached, perfectly composed despite the early hour. She'd changed clothes, done her hair. Ivy, so glad you could make it. The sarcasm was subtle but there. What did the doctor say? I asked Patricia, ignoring Helena. Acute myocardial infarction. That's the technical term. They think stress was a major factor. His blood pressure has been dangerously high for weeks. Stress. Because of his company failing. Because someone was stealing from him. Mrs. Sutton? A doctor appeared, young and professional. Your husband is asking for you. Patricia rushed off. The rest of us sat in awful silence. Uncle Thomas tried to make small talk about the weather. Aunt Marie cried quietly. Helena scrolled through her phone. When Patricia came back 15 minutes later, she looked shaken. He wants to see Ivy next. Helena's head snapped up. What? Why? Because she's his daughter. Patricia's voice was sharp. Go, Ivy. Room 4. 5 minutes only. I walked down the ICU hallway on legs that felt like water. Room 4 was mostly glass, machines beeping softly. And there was my father, looking so small in that hospital bed. Tubes and wires connected him to various monitors. His face was gray, his breathing shallow. Dad, I whispered. His eyes opened. He smiled. There's my girl. I took his hand, careful of the IV line. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. His voice was weak. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here too. Listen, Ivy, don't have much time. Need to tell you something. He paused to catch his breath. I know about the hotel. Always knew. What? Hired my own investigator a year ago. Wanted to know what happened to you. Found out about your success. Made me so proud. His grip on my hand tightened slightly. Also found out about the embezzlement. From my company. Knew someone was stealing. Didn't know who. Dad, not you. Never thought it was you. Not 5 years ago either. But I couldn't prove it wasn't you. And Patricia was so sure. He closed his eyes briefly. I'm sorry, honey, for not fighting harder. For letting you go. Tears burned my throat. It's okay. It's not okay. And now someone's still stealing. Company's nearly bankrupt. If I don't figure out who soon, I'll lose everything. I know who it is, I said quietly. But you need to rest. We can talk about this later. No. Tell me now. I hesitated. Outside the glass, I could see Patricia and Helena standing close together, talking, making plans, probably, coordinating their next move. It's Helena, I said. She's been embezzling for 2 years. She's planning to frame me for it. Dad's monitors started beeping faster. A nurse appeared at the door. You need to keep him calm. Just 1 more minute, I said. But Dad was struggling to sit up. His face flushed. Helena? My Helena? Sir, you need to lie back, the nurse said firmly. Get Patricia, Dad gasped. Need to tell her. Mr. Sutton, you're having elevated blood pressure. You need to calm down. But he wouldn't calm down. He kept trying to get up, to call out. The monitors were screaming now. More nurses rushed in. Someone pushed me out of the room. I stood in the hallway, watching through the glass as they worked on him, watching his body convulse, watching the monitors spike and dip. Patricia ran in. Helena followed. And then I heard it. Dad's voice, weak but audible. Patricia, Helena stealing. Not Ivy, Helena. Patricia leaned close. I saw her face change, saw understanding dawn. Then Helena leaned in too, and she whispered something in Dad's ear, something I couldn't hear. His eyes went wide. The monitors screamed. "Code Blue!" someone shouted. Everything became chaos. Patricia was pulled out. Helena was pulled out. Doctors rushed in with crash carts and equipment. I stood frozen, watching them try to save my father's life. Helena stood beside me, perfectly calm. "This is your fault," she said quietly. "You stressed him out. You, and your accusations. You're killing him," I whispered back. "No. You are." She raised her voice slightly. "Everyone heard you in there, making wild accusations about me. Look what you've done." And I realized that several family members were watching. Cousins. Aunt Marie. They'd all heard Dad say Helena's name. They'd all seen his reaction. But now Helena was spinning the story. She told him I was stealing. She upset him on purpose. She's trying to kill him to get her inheritance. "That's not true," I said, but my voice sounded weak. Patricia burst from the room, her face streaked with tears. "What did you say to him? What did you do?" "I just told him the truth." "The truth?" Patricia's voice rose. "Your truth? Your paranoid delusions about Helena?" "It's not paranoid. It's real. Helena's been embezzling from Dad's company for 2 years. That's insane. Helena would never. She told me herself last night. She's been setting me up to take the fall." Patricia slapped me. Hard, across the face. The waiting room went silent. "Get out," Patricia said. "Get out of this hospital. Stay away from this family. If your father dies, it's your fault." "Mom," I said, "get out." Hospital security appeared. Not my security. Not people I controlled. They took my arms gently but firmly. "Ma'am, you need to leave." I let them escort me out. Let them walk me to the parking lot. What else could I do? My phone buzzed as I reached my car. Text from Helena. "You have until noon to sign those papers. Then I call the police." I sat in the driver's seat and finally let myself cry. The police came to the hotel at 2 in the afternoon. I was in my office trying to focus on paperwork when Marcus knocked. "Ma'am, there are detectives here asking for you." Detective Rodriguez was maybe 45, with kind eyes and a tired face. Detective Park was younger, sharper. They showed me their badges. "Miss Hartwell," Rodriguez said, "we need to ask you some questions about Charles Sutton's business, Sutton Manufacturing." "What about it?" "We've received evidence of embezzlement, large-scale financial fraud. The evidence suggests you're responsible." My hands went cold. "That's not true." "We have bank records," Park said, pulling out a folder. "Accounts in your name. Transfers from Sutton Manufacturing dating back 2 years. Email correspondence showing you had access to company financial systems." They spread the papers across my desk. And there it was. Everything Helena had shown me last night, now official, now in the hands of law enforcement. "These accounts aren't mine," I said. "Someone created them using my identity." "Your identity, your social security number, your address." Rodriguez sounded sympathetic but firm. "I know this is difficult, but the evidence is substantial. It's fabricated. All of it. My sister Helena is the one who's been stealing. She framed me 5 years ago, and she's doing it again." Park and Rodriguez exchanged glances. "You were accused of theft 5 years ago?" "Yes. From the same company. But it wasn't me then either. It was Helena." "Do you have proof of that?" "I didn't. 5 years ago I'd been too shocked, too hurt to fight back properly. I'd just left." "This is a pattern, Miss Hartwell," Park said. "Past accusations, current evidence. You can see how this looks. I own a successful real estate company. I have $40 million in assets. Why would I need to steal from my father?" "Revenge?" Rodriguez suggested gently. "Your mother mentioned you had a falling out with the family." Of course Patricia mentioned that. Of course she'd helped build Helena's story. "I need to speak with my lawyer," I said. "That's your right." but we're going to need you to come to the station for formal questioning. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but we strongly suggest you cooperate. They left me with their business cards and a warning to stay available. As soon as they were gone, I called my attorney, David Sherman. He'd handled the purchase of this hotel. He was smart and ruthless and expensive. Don't talk to the police without me present, he said immediately. I'll be there in an hour. Next, I called Marcus. I need everything. Every piece of evidence we have on Helena. The hacking logs, the background on Richard Bancroft, everything. Already compiling it. But Ivy, there's a problem. What now? Someone's been deleting files from our system. The backup security footage I mentioned? It's gone. The server logs showing the hacking attempts? Gone. Someone's been in our system again. Helena. Or someone she hired. I slumped in my chair. She thought of everything. Not everything. I made copies. Old school. External hard drives that aren't connected to any network. Hidden in my apartment. Relief flooded through me. Marcus, you're a genius. I'm paranoid. But in this case, it helped. He paused. There's something else. Your hotel board of directors called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. They want to discuss your position as CEO. They can't remove me. I own 60% of the shares. They can, if they believe you're under criminal investigation for fraud. Corporate governance clause. If the primary shareholder faces criminal charges that could damage the company's reputation, the board can vote to temporarily suspend that shareholder's authority. Temporarily, which becomes permanent if you're actually charged. Everything was falling apart. Faster than I could stop it. My phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Miss Hartwell? A woman's voice. This is Nurse Campbell again. From St. Catherine's. Your father is asking for you. Is he okay? He's stable, but he's very insistent. He says it's urgent. I'll be right there. But when I got to the hospital, Patricia was waiting in the lobby with security. No, she said simply. You're not seeing him. The nurse called me. He asked for me. I don't care what he asked for. You nearly killed him this morning with your accusations. You're not getting another chance. Mom, please. I need to talk to him. I need him to know the truth. The truth? Patricia's laugh was bitter. The truth is that you're a jealous, vindictive woman who can't stand that Helena succeeded in life. Helena didn't succeed. She stole. She's been stealing from Dad for years. Stop it. Just stop. Patricia's voice cracked. I know you're angry about what happened 5 years ago. I know you think we treated you unfairly. But this vendetta needs to end. It's not a vendetta. It's the truth. Your truth. Which no one believes. Dad believes me. That's why he got upset. Because he realized I was right. Patricia stepped closer, her voice dropping. Do you know what the doctors said? That another major stress event could kill him. His heart is that damaged. So if you care about your father at all, you'll leave. You'll sign whatever papers Helena wants you to sign, and you'll disappear. You know about the papers? Of course I know. Helena told me everything. Patricia's face was calm, almost peaceful. And I think it's fair. You've built a nice life for yourself. You don't need the hotel. You don't need your other properties. Let Helena have them. She'll use the money to save your father's company. She's the one who destroyed it in the first place. That's your accusation. I don't believe it. Why not? Why do you always believe her over me? Patricia was silent for a long moment. Then, because Helena needs me to believe her. You never did. You were always so independent, so sure of yourself. But Helena needed my validation, my support. And I gave it to her. Even when she's wrong, even then, there it was. Finally, the truth I'd been avoiding for 5 years. My mother had chosen Helena not because Helena was better or more believable, but because Helena was needier. And need had been mistaken for love. I have proof, I said quietly. Recordings, documents, everything showing Helena's guilt. Then you'll destroy her. And destroying her will kill your father. Is that what you want? I want justice. Justice or revenge? I didn't have an answer. Patricia nodded like I'd confirmed something. The papers are in Helena's hotel room. Room 1812. You have until 6 o'clock tonight. After that, Helena calls the police and makes a formal complaint. You'll be arrested. You'll go to trial. Even if you're eventually found innocent, the legal fees will bankrupt you. Your reputation will be destroyed. Your business will collapse. And if I sign? Helena destroys all the evidence against you. You walk away clean, free to start over somewhere else. With nothing, with your freedom. That's worth something. She walked away, leaving me standing in the hospital lobby. I sat on a bench and checked my phone. 3 missed calls from David Sherman, 2 texts from Marcus, 1 email from my hotel board confirming tomorrow's emergency meeting, and 1 text from Greg. We need to talk. Coffee shop on 5th Street. 1 hour. I almost ignored it. What was the point? But something in his message felt urgent. The coffee shop was small and crowded. Greg was already there, sitting in a back corner. He looked terrible, exhausted, defeated. "Thank you for coming," he said as I sat down. "What do you want?" "To apologize. And to explain." He pushed a folder across the table. "I'm FBI, Ivy, undercover. Have been for 3 years. My brain stopped working." "What?" "Helena's involved in a larger fraud network. She's not working alone. There are 5 other people, running similar schemes across the Northeast. They target family businesses, embezzle over years, then frame someone else. It's sophisticated, organized." "You married her to investigate her?" "I married her to get access to her contacts, to her network." He looked miserable. "But it's also real. I do love her, even knowing what she is." "That's insane." "I know." He opened the folder. "We've been building a case for 18 months. If we arrest Helena now, the rest of the network disappears. We need her to lead us to them. We need her to think she's won. So I'm supposed to just let her destroy me?" "No. I'm asking you to play along for 3 more weeks. Sign the papers. Let her think she's won. In 3 weeks, we move on the entire network. Everyone gets arrested. You get your assets back. Helena goes to prison for a long time." 3 weeks. I know it's asking a lot. It's asking everything. In 3 weeks, my business will be destroyed. My reputation will be gone. My father might be dead. Greg flinched. "I know. But if you don't play along, if you fight her now with the evidence you have, she'll run. And dozens of other families will be destroyed by this network." "Why should I care about other families when mine is already destroyed?" "Because you're better than that." He met my eyes. "Because you're nothing like Helena. And that's why your father always loved you more." I stared at the folder, at the FBI seal on the documents inside. "If I do this," I said slowly, "I need guarantees. Written guarantees that my assets will be returned, that all charges will be dropped, that my father will be protected." "I can arrange that. And I need daily updates on my father's condition. If he gets worse, if he's dying, I need to be able to see him." "I'll try to arrange that too." "Don't try. Do it." Greg nodded. "Okay. I'll make it happen." I looked at my watch. 4:30. 90 minutes until Helena's deadline. "Show me the papers she wants me to sign." "Let me read them first. They're standard asset transfer documents. They'll give Helena temporary control of your properties, pending resolution of the investigation. But once we arrest her, those transfers will be voided. And if something goes wrong, if your case falls apart, then I'll testify on your behalf. I'll provide every recording, every document, everything I have." It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. "Fine," I said. "I'll do it." Greg looked relieved. "Thank you. I know this is impossible." "It's worse than impossible." I stood up. "But you're right about one thing. I'm better than Helena, and I'm going to prove it." I left him sitting there and drove back to the hotel. Went to room 1812. Helena answered the door in yoga pants and a t-shirt, looking relaxed. "I'll sign," I said. Her smile was triumphant. "Smart choice. But I want something in return." "You're not in a position to negotiate." "I want weekly updates on Dad's condition. And if he asks for me, you let me see him. That's my price." Helena considered. "Fine. But only if he asks. I'm not facilitating some heartwarming reunion." "Deal." She produced the papers. I read through every page while she watched, sipping wine. The documents transferred ownership of all my properties to a holding company called Meridian Enterprises. Helena was listed as the managing director. "This is theft," I said. "This is justice." I signed. Every page, every line. my hand shaking. Helena took the papers and locked them in the room's safe. You're free to go now. I'd suggest you start packing. What about the evidence against me? When do you destroy it? Once the transfers are finalized. Should take about a week. That wasn't the deal. The deal was that you sign. You signed. The rest happens on my timeline. I'd walked into another trap. Of course I had. Helena always planned 3 steps ahead. Greg knows what you're doing, I said. Greg thinks I'm a stressed businesswoman trying to save her father's company. He has no idea about any of this. You're wrong about that. Am I? Helena smiled. Did my loving husband tell you he supports me completely, that he thinks you're the problem? Because he told me that just this morning. I remembered Greg at the hospital seemingly siding with Helena. The timing had been perfect. Too perfect. He's playing you, I said. Or he's playing you. Helena moved to the door, opened it. Now get out. And Ivy, don't come back to this hotel. I'm having security put you on the banned list. You can't do that. I own this hotel. Not anymore. Check the paperwork. As of 10 minutes ago, when you signed those documents, I own this hotel. Security answers to me now. The hallway tilted. That can't be legal. Those transfers take time to process. Not when you have the right lawyer and the right judge. I filed the paperwork an hour ago. It's already approved. She closed the door in my face. I stood there, unable to move, unable to breathe. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Security team has been told to escort you from the premises if you don't leave voluntarily. I tried to stop it. I'm sorry. Another text, this one from the hotel board. Emergency meeting has been moved to tonight, 8 p.m. Your attendance is mandatory. I rode the elevator down to the lobby. My lobby. Watched people check in at my front desk, saw the chandelier I'd commissioned, and then I saw Marcus approaching, along with 2 other security officers. His face was agonized. Miss Hartwell, he said formally, I need to ask you to leave the property. Marcus, I'm sorry. I have my orders. From Helena? From the new owner? Yes. They walked me to the door. Walked me past staring guests and whispering staff. Walked me out onto the street where I'd stood just 24 hours ago, being humiliated by my sister. I'd come full circle, except now I had nothing left to lose. I sat in my car, in the parking garage, across from the hotel, and watched the sunset. The city lit up, beautiful and indifferent. Somewhere in that building, Helena was celebrating. Somewhere in that city, my father was lying in a hospital bed, maybe dying, not knowing what his daughter had done. My phone rang. David Sherman, my attorney. I've reviewed the documents Helena filed, he said without preamble. They're legitimate. The judge signed off on emergency transfer of assets pending criminal investigation. Legally, you don't own the Grand Meridian anymore. How is that possible? I wasn't even formally charged. The evidence against you was compelling enough for the judge to approve protective measures. Helena argued that you might liquidate assets to flee the country. The judge agreed. Can we fight it? We can try, but it'll take months, maybe years, and you'll need to prove your innocence first. I have proof. Recordings. Documents. Then bring them to me. Tomorrow. We'll start building your defense. But I couldn't use that evidence yet. Not for 3 more weeks. Not without destroying Greg's case. I'll call you tomorrow, I said, and hung up. Another call came immediately. Unknown number. I answered it without thinking. Ivy? A shaky voice. Familiar. It's Dad. My heart stopped. Dad? How did you? Nurse gave me her phone. Only have a minute. His breathing was labored. Need to tell you. Patricia and Helena. I heard them talking. Outside my room. Think I was asleep. What did they say? Everything. The embezzlement. The frame-up. All of it. He coughed. A wet, painful sound. I know the truth now. I know it's Helena. Dad, don't strain yourself. No time. They're moving me. Tonight. Private facility. Patricia arranged it. Won't be able to call you again? His voice cracked. I'm sorry, honey. Sorry I didn't believe you. Sorry I was too weak to stand up to them. It's okay. Just focus on getting better. Not going to get better. Heart's too damaged. Doctor said days. Maybe weeks. Don't say that. It's true. And I need you to know. I changed my will. Last month. Left everything to you. Helena gets nothing. Dad. She doesn't know yet. Lawyer has instructions. When I die, you inherit the company. The house. Everything. Helena can't touch it. That's going to make her more dangerous. Don't care. You earned it. You built something real. He coughed again, longer this time. Someone's coming. Have to go. I love you, Ivy. Always loved you. Never forget that. The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face. My father knew the truth. He believed me. He'd changed his will, which meant Helena's plan had a massive flaw. Even if she took everything I owned now, she'd lose it all when Dad died, and left everything to me. Unless she made sure Dad died before he could tell anyone else about the will. My blood turned to ice. I called Greg immediately. Where are you? Home. Why? What's wrong? They're moving my father tonight. To a private facility. You need to stop it. Why? What's happened? Dad called me. He overheard Helena and Patricia. He knows everything. And he told me he changed his will last month. Left everything to me. Greg swore. That changes everything. If Helena knows about the will, she might try to hurt him, to stop him from telling anyone. I'm calling the hospital now, putting a watch on his room. Will they listen to you? I'm FBI. They'll listen. He paused. But Ivy, if I do this, if I reveal my identity, it might compromise the investigation. The network will scatter. I don't care about the network. I care about my father. Give me 10 minutes. Let me make some calls. See if there's another way. He hung up. I couldn't just sit there. I drove back to the hospital, parked in the emergency lot, and tried to figure out how to get inside without Patricia or hospital security stopping me. My phone buzzed. Text from Greg. Agents are en route to the hospital. Your father will be protected. Trust me. Another text. This one from an unknown number. This is Nurse Campbell. Your father asked me to tell you. The will is with attorney Bernard Chen, downtown office. He has instructions. I looked up Bernard Chen immediately. Found his office address. It was 8:15. Offices would be closed, but maybe someone was working late. I drove downtown, found the building, took the elevator to the 7th floor. Chen and Associates. The door was locked, but lights were on inside. I knocked. A man in his 60s answered, still in his suit. We're closed. I'm Ivy Hartwell, Charles Sutton's daughter. He told me, you have his will. Chen's expression changed. Come in. His office was old-fashioned, lined with law books. He offered me tea. I declined. Your father updated his will 6 weeks ago, Chen said, pulling a file from his cabinet. He was very specific about his wishes. The company goes to you. The house goes to you. His investments, his retirement accounts, everything. He left your mother a modest trust, enough to live comfortably. He left Helena nothing. Does she know? No. Your father wanted it kept confidential until his death. She's going to contest it. She can try. But the will is airtight. I made sure of that. Chen studied me. Your father told me what happened 5 years ago. What Helena did. He said he believed you then but couldn't prove it. He's been trying to make it right ever since. By cutting Helena out? By ensuring you inherit what you've earned. He's very proud of you, Miss Hartwell. I wiped my eyes. Can I have a copy of the will? I can give you a sealed copy to keep in a safe place. The original stays with me. He made copies. Put them in an envelope. Sealed it with wax. Old school. Secure. Guard this carefully, he said. If Helena finds out about it before your father's death, things could get complicated. They're already complicated. I took the envelope and left. It was almost 9. The board meeting at the hotel had probably already started without me. My phone showed 12 missed calls. 6 from Marcus, 4 from David Sherman, 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. I listened to the voicemails as I drove. Marcus. The board voted to suspend you as CEO. I'm sorry. They said it was temporary, but it's effective immediately. Helena is now interim CEO. David Sherman. The police want you to come in for formal questioning tomorrow. 10 a.m. I'll meet you there. Don't go alone. The unknown numbers were both reporters. News had leaked. Hotel owner under investigation for embezzlement. Real estate CEO accused of fraud. The vultures were circling. I drove back to my apartment, a penthouse I'd bought 3 years ago. Or used to own. Maybe that was gone too now. But when I got there, Marcus was waiting in the lobby. I quit, he said. Told Helena she could take her interim CEO position and shove it. Marcus, you can't quit. You need that job. I need to work for someone I respect. That's not Helena. He handed me a small hard drive. Everything. Backed up. Every piece of evidence we collected. The hacking logs. The security footage of Helena's confession. All of it. Thank you. There's more. He pulled out his phone. I've been doing some digging. Richard Bancroft, the fake owner, he's been arrested. Fraud charges unrelated to this case, but he's in custody. I talked to him. Offered to help with his legal fees in exchange for information. What did he say? Helena hired him 2 months ago. Paid him $10,000 to play the hotel owner. But here's the interesting part. He's done this before, for other women, all connected to the same network. Greg's network. Greg? Your sister's husband? Marcus looked confused. I explained about Greg being FBI, about the larger investigation. Marcus whistled. That's actually brilliant. Helena thinks she's running the show, but he's been documenting everything. For 3 more weeks, and I'm supposed to just let her destroy me in the meantime. Or, Marcus smiled, we fight back, carefully, quietly. We build our own case. And in 3 weeks when Greg moves, we're ready with evidence that protects you. How? Media. We leak the truth to the press. Not everything. Just enough to make them question Helena's story. Then when Greg makes his arrests, the narrative is already shifting in your favor. It was risky. It could backfire. But sitting here doing nothing felt impossible. Okay, I said. Let's do it. We worked through the night. Marcus contacted a journalist he trusted, someone who'd covered corporate fraud cases before. We gave her copies of the security footage, the hacking logs, Richard Bancroft's confession, not the recordings Greg had made. Those stayed secret, but enough to raise questions. By dawn, the first article was online. Questions raised in hotel embezzlement case. It didn't accuse Helena directly, just pointed out inconsistencies in the evidence against me. Mentioned my successful business history. Quoted legal experts saying the asset seizure seemed rushed. My phone exploded with calls. David Sherman, thrilled. The hotel board, confused. And Helena, furious. What did you do? She screamed when I answered. What did you tell them? I told them the truth. That I'm innocent. You signed the papers. You gave up. You don't get to fight back now. Watch me. She hung up. 2 hours later, Greg called. What are you doing? You're jeopardizing the investigation. I'm protecting myself. Your investigation can adapt. Ivy, if Helena runs, she won't run. She's too arrogant. She thinks she's already won. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I know my sister. I paused. How's my father? Stable. Under FBI protection. Helena tried to visit him last night. We wouldn't let her in. She's threatening to call a lawyer. Let her. Just keep him safe. For 3 more weeks. Can you hold on that long? I'll hold on as long as it takes. The second article came out at noon. FBI investigating fraud network. It didn't mention Helena by name, but it mentioned the case type, the methods used. Smart readers would make connections. By evening, the story had spread. Cable news picked it up. Social media was buzzing. Real estate mogul fights back against embezzlement charges. Is this a case of family betrayal? My phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Miss Hartwell? A woman's voice. Professional. This is Agent Sarah Chen with the FBI. I work with Greg Morrison. We need to meet. Tonight. It's urgent. Agent Chen was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner. We met at a coffee shop far from downtown, far from anyone who might recognize us. Greg filled me in on everything, she said. The deal you made. The timeline. But things have changed. My stomach dropped. How? Your articles. The media attention. Helena's getting nervous. She's making mistakes. Chen pulled out a tablet. She tried to access your father's hospital room 3 times yesterday. Each time, she claimed to have legal authority as next of kin. Each time, she was denied. Good. Not good. Because this morning, she filed an emergency petition for medical power of attorney. Claims your father is incapacitated and can't make his own decisions. Claims she needs to make choices about his care. No. She can't have that authority. She can if the judge agrees. And she has a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. My mind raced. My father isn't incapacitated. He's weak, but he's mentally competent. We know that. But Helena has doctor's reports, statements from nurses, evidence that he's on heavy pain medication. She's building a case that he's not competent to refuse the transfer to the private facility. Why does she want him moved so badly? Chen's face was grim. Because the facility she's chosen has a doctor on staff who's been investigated twice for insurance fraud. He's known for signing off on questionable medical decisions. If Helena gets power of attorney and moves your father there, she can make decisions about his care. Life or death decisions. Exactly. We have to stop the hearing. We're trying. But she has a good lawyer. And without revealing Greg's investigation, we don't have legal standing to intervene. Then reveal it. Arrest her now. We can't. The network isn't ready. If we move too soon, 4 other major players disappear. We've been planning this for 3 years. We need 1 more week. My father might not have 1 more week. Chen leaned forward. I know. That's why I'm here. Greg sent me to ask for 3 more days. Just 3 days. We're accelerating the timeline. But we need to coordinate arrests in 5 states simultaneously. That takes time. 3 days. 72 hours. What happens at the hearing tomorrow? You attend. You bring your father's attorney. You argue that Charles is competent and doesn't want to be moved. The judge will likely order a psychiatric evaluation to determine competency. That buys us time. And if the judge rules in Helena's favor, then we'll have to get creative. I called Bernard Chen that night, explained the situation. He agreed to represent my father at the hearing, to argue against Helena's petition. I also called David Sherman, told him to prepare a motion to block the asset transfers, to argue that they'd been obtained through fraud. That'll take weeks to process, he warned. I just need to slow Helena down. Make her think I'm fighting on all fronts. You are fighting on all fronts. I know. But I want her to think she's winning, right up until the moment she loses. The hearing the next morning was in family court. Small room, fluorescent lights. A judge who looked like she hadn't slept in days. Helena arrived with her lawyer, a silver-haired man in a $1,000 suit. Patricia was there too, sitting beside Helena, united against me. I sat on the opposite side with Bernard Chen. Helena's lawyer presented his case. Medical records showing Charles Sutton's declining health. Statements from doctors about his pain medication regimen. Evidence that he'd been confused and agitated, possibly due to medication or stress. Mr. Sutton requires care that St. Catherine's Hospital cannot provide, the lawyer argued. Willow Creek Rehabilitation Center specializes in cardiac recovery. Miss Helena Morrison, as the eldest daughter and primary caregiver, is the appropriate person to make these medical decisions. Bernard Chen stood. Your Honor, Charles Sutton is mentally competent. He's capable of making his own medical decisions. He doesn't want to be transferred to Willow Creek. He's stated this clearly to multiple hospital staff. Do you have those statements in writing? The judge asked. We have testimony from Nurse Campbell, who spoke with Mr. Sutton yesterday. He explicitly said he wanted to remain at St. Catherine's. Helena's lawyer objected. Hearsay. We need medical evaluation, not a nurse's interpretation. The judge nodded. I'm ordering a psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Martin Freeman will conduct the assessment this afternoon. We'll reconvene tomorrow morning with his findings. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. 24 more hours. As we left the courtroom, Helena cornered me in the hallway. Patricia stood back, watching. You're not going to win, Helena said quietly. Even if Dad stays at St. Catherine's, even if you delay the transfer, you've already lost. I have your hotel. I have your properties. And soon I'll have Dad's company too. Not if Dad's will says otherwise. Her face went very still. What will? I shouldn't have said it, shouldn't have revealed that card. But I was so tired of playing defense. Dad changed his will. Didn't Helena tell you? No? He left everything to me. The company, the house, all of it. You get nothing. Helena's expression shifted through several emotions. Shock, anger, calculation. You're lying. Bernard Chen has the will. Filed. 6 weeks ago. Completely legal. She turned to her lawyer, who looked uncomfortable. Did you know about this? There were rumors, he admitted. but I have no direct knowledge. Find out, Helena snapped. Now. As they walked away, Bernard Chen touched my arm. That was unwise. Now she knows. I know. But maybe it'll make her sloppy. Make her move too fast. Or make her more dangerous. He was right. Within 2 hours, Helena filed motions to contest the will. Claimed Charles had been mentally incompetent when he made the changes. Claimed I'd unduly influenced him. Claimed the whole thing was fraud. By evening, the media had the story. Family fortune in dispute. Sisters battle over father's estate. My phone rang. Greg, what did you do? He said. Helena's panicking. She's making calls to people we've been monitoring. The network is getting nervous. Good. Nervous people make mistakes. Nervous people also run. We're tracking 2 members who've suddenly booked international flight. Then arrest them. We can't arrest them without Helena. She's the linchpin. If she runs, she won't run. She has too much invested here. You can't know that. She's my sister. I know her. I paused. How's my father? Dr. Freeman did the psychiatric evaluation this afternoon. Your father passed easily. He's completely competent. The judge will rule in your favor tomorrow. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Helena's lawyer is already filing appeals. The next morning's hearing was even more contentious. Dr. Freeman testified that Charles Sutton was mentally sharp, capable of making decisions, and clearly stated he wanted to remain at St. Catherine's Hospital. The judge ruled in our favor. Helena's petition for medical power of attorney was denied. Helena's face went white. Patricia actually gasped. Their lawyer immediately stood to file an appeal. Appeal noted, the judge said. But it won't be heard for at least 2 weeks. Mr. Sutton stays where he is. I wanted to cheer. Wanted to celebrate. But Helena's expression stopped me. She looked defeated, cornered. And cornered animals were the most dangerous. That afternoon, I visited my father. The FBI agents assigned to protect him let me in after checking my ID. Dad was sitting up in bed, looking better than he had in days. Ivy, he said smiling. I heard about the hearing. You won. We won. I took his hand. How are you feeling? Tired. But good. Better knowing the truth is coming out. He squeezed my fingers. Helena came by earlier. They wouldn't let her in. She was screaming in the hallway, saying terrible things about you. I'm sorry you had to hear that. Don't be. I needed to hear it. Needed to see who she really is. His eyes were sad. I failed you both. Failed as a father. I let Patricia turn Helena into something cruel, and I let them push you away. I'm so sorry. Dad, don't. Just focus on getting better. I am getting better. Doctor says my heart is stabilizing. The stress reduction is helping. He paused. I'm selling the company, after I get out of here. Shutting it down or selling to the employees. I don't want Helena to have any claim to it. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. It's time. I built that company for my family, but my family doesn't exist anymore. Not the way I thought it did. He looked out the window. You're my real legacy, Ivy. What you built on your own. That's what I'm proud of. We talked for an hour. He told me about his plans for recovery, for physical therapy, for maybe moving somewhere warmer. He talked about Patricia, about how he'd filed for separation, about how he'd finally stood up to her yesterday, told her he knew about her complicity with Helena. She's moving out of the house, he said, going to live with Helena for a while. They deserve each other. It should have made me happy. Instead, it just made me sad. For the family we could have been. For the mother who chose the wrong daughter. For the sister who let jealousy destroy her. As I left the hospital, my phone rang. Agent Chen. It's happening, she said. Tomorrow morning. 6 a.m., simultaneous raids in 5 states. Helena will be arrested at her hotel room. The rest of the network will be taken down at the same time. Tomorrow? We accelerated the timeline. Too many people getting nervous. We had to move. What do I do? Nothing. Stay home. Stay safe. We'll contact you when it's over. I barely slept that night. At 5:30 a.m., I was standing by my window, watching the sunrise, waiting. At 6:05, my phone buzzed. Text from Greg. It's done. Helena is in custody. They're bringing her downtown now. At 6:15, Marcus called. Turn on the news. I did. Every channel had the story. FBI raids target fraud network. Footage of Helena being led out of the Grand Meridian in handcuffs. Footage of other arrests across the country. The news anchor explained. A sophisticated embezzlement ring that targeted family businesses across the Northeast has been dismantled. 5 people are in custody, including Helena Morrison, daughter of businessman Charles Sutton. The FBI alleges the network stole an estimated $12 million over 5 years. By 7 a.m., David Sherman called. The asset seizures against you are being reversed. Emergency hearing this afternoon. You'll have your properties back by end of business today. By 8 a.m., the hotel board called, apologized, begged me to return as CEO, offered to increase my compensation. By 9 a.m., reporters were outside my building. I ignored them. At 10 a.m., I went to the hospital. The FBI agents were gone, no longer needed. I walked into my father's room. He was watching the news, tears streaming down his face. "I can't believe it," he said. "All those years. All those lies." "I know. Patricia was arrested too. Accessory to fraud." "I know." He looked at me. "Are you happy that they're going to prison?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "I'm not happy. I'm just tired and sad and ready for this to be over." "It is over. You won." "Nobody won, Dad. We all lost. The family is gone." "The old family is gone," he agreed. "But we can build a new one. Just you and me. And maybe someday, if Helena gets help, if she changes, maybe she can be part of it too." "That's very forgiving of you." "I'm dying, Ivy. I don't have time for grudges." "You're not dying. The doctor said you're improving." "I'm 83 years old with a damaged heart. I'm dying. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but soon." He smiled. "And I want to spend whatever time I have left with the daughter who never gave up on herself, who built something real and good, who proved that integrity matters more than family loyalty." We sat together in comfortable silence, watching the city wake up outside his window. The legal proceedings took months. Helena pleaded guilty to avoid trial, got 15 years. Patricia got 5 years as an accomplice. The other network members got varying sentences. My properties were returned. My reputation was restored. The hotel board not only reinstated me but gave me a public apology and a feature in 3 major business magazines. Greg resigned from the FBI, said he couldn't do undercover work anymore, divorced Helena while she was awaiting sentencing. Last I heard, he was teaching criminal justice at a university. Richard Bancroft testified against the network in exchange for a reduced sentence. Got 3 years instead of 10. My father recovered slowly but steadily. Moved into a smaller house near mine. We had dinner every Sunday. 6 months after Helena's arrest, I started a foundation, the Hartwell Foundation for Fraud Victims, helping people who'd been falsely accused, wrongly prosecuted, or damaged by financial crimes. We funded legal defense, provided counseling, and worked to reform laws that made it too easy to seize assets without due process. Marcus became the foundation's director of operations. Turned out he was as good at helping people as he was at protecting them. A year after everything fell apart, I stood in the lobby of the Grand Meridian and looked around. New chandelier, updated furniture, fresh paint. Different, but still mine. Marcus walked over, handed me a coffee. "Big day tomorrow. Grand reopening." "I know. Kind of nervous." "Don't be. The place looks amazing. You've done an incredible job." "We've done an incredible job." He smiled. "There's someone here to see you." I turned, and there was Helena. She looked different. Prison jumpsuit replaced with regular clothes, supervised release ankle monitor visible. Hair shorter, face thinner, no makeup, no designer anything. "I have 10 minutes, she said. "My PO is waiting outside. I asked if I could see you. She said yes, but only if you agreed." I should have said no. Should have told her to leave. But something in her face stopped me. "Okay. 10 minutes. We walked to a quiet corner, sat in the chairs I'd positioned by the window. "I'm sorry," Helena said. The words sounded rusty, like she wasn't used to saying them. "For everything. The embezzlement. The frame-up. All of it. Why am I sorry? Or, why did I do it?" "Both." She was quiet for a long moment. "I did it because I was jealous. And angry. and so desperate to matter that I destroyed everything that actually mattered. And I'm sorry because I've had a year to think about it. A year of therapy and consequences and facing what I did. And I finally understand what I threw away. Family? You. I threw you away. The best person in our family. The one who actually cared. She wiped her eyes. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I was, what I did, and I hate myself for it. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there, watching my sister cry. The therapist in prison asked me what I wanted, Helena continued. If I could go back and change anything. You know what I said? I said I wanted to be you, not have what you have, be who you are. Someone with integrity. Someone who doesn't need to tear others down to feel big. You can still be that person. Not really. I'm a convicted felon. I've lost everything. When I get out in 14 years, I'll be almost 50. No career, no money, no future. You'll have a chance. That's more than some people get. She looked at me. Would you ever consider having coffee with me after I'm out? Like 15 years from now? I thought about it. About grace and grudges. About my father's words in the hospital. About the cost of bitterness. Maybe, I said. Ask me in 15 years. She nodded. Fair enough. Her 10 minutes were up. She stood to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I always knew you were better than me. That's why I hated you. But it's also why I'm glad you're my sister. Even if I ruined that, even if you never want to see me again, I'm still glad that somewhere in the world, there's someone who shares my blood who got it right. She left. I sat there for a long time, thinking about everything that had happened. The pain, the betrayal, the fight back, the triumph. And I realized something. Winning hadn't made me happy. Revenge hadn't made me whole. Justice had been necessary, but it hadn't healed anything. The only thing that had actually helped was choosing, every day, to be the person my father believed I was. Not perfect, not vindictive, just honest, and strong, and willing to keep building even when everything fell apart. That night, I stood in front of the cameras at the grand reopening, smiled for the reporters, cut the ribbon, gave the speech about new beginnings and second chances, and building something that lasts. And I meant every word. As the guests poured in, as the music started, as the hotel came alive again, I felt something shift inside me. Not happiness exactly, but peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you fought for what was right and won. Not just in court or in business, but in the deeper battle of staying decent when everything pushed you to become bitter. My father arrived, dressed in his best suit, looking healthier than he had in years. He hugged me tight. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Not for winning, for how you won. With integrity intact. I learned from the best, I said. We danced. The old man and his daughter. In the hotel she'd built. In the life she'd created. Surrounded by people who respected what she'd accomplished. And, as I looked around at everything I'd built, everything I'd fought for, everything I'd nearly lost and then reclaimed, I realized something important. Family blindness had cost my mother and sister everything. Their freedom, their dignity, their future. But my clarity, my willingness to see the truth, even when it hurt, had given me something they could never take away. My own eyes, my own vision, my own path forward. And that was worth more than any hotel, any property, any amount of money. I was free, truly free. Free from needing their approval. Free from carrying their expectations. Free from the weight of being unseen. I was just Ivy. And Ivy was enough. I've shared my story with you today because I know some of you out there are facing your own family's blindness. Your own battles to be seen, to be heard, to be believed. And I want you to know, keep building anyway. Keep standing up anyway. Keep telling the truth anyway. The people who can't see you don't define you. Your work defines you. Your integrity defines you. Your refusal to become bitter defines you. And when you win, and you will win, make sure you win as someone you can respect, because that's the only victory that actually matters. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where family loyalty conflicted with doing what was right? How did you handle it? Did you choose truth, or did you choose peace? And looking back, would you make the same choice again? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that integrity matters even when it costs everything, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future stories about real people facing real challenges. And share this with someone who needs to hear that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Thank you for listening to my journey. Thank you for being here. And remember, the people who truly matter will see you. The ones who don't, well, their blindness is their loss, not yours. May you find the courage to stand in your truth, the strength to build your own path, and the wisdom to know that being yourself is the greatest success of all. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, family blindness costs dearly, but your clarity is priceless.